Hello, everyone. Happy to be here with you to share with you all the fun stuff about what we're doing in data science. My name is Mahmoud Shobair. I'm a data scientist and computational toxicologist at PNG in the Human Safety Organization. Before we get into the talk, I just want to give you a little bit about a background about myself. So I'm a physicist by training, and I have a focus on applying data science in the health sciences. Prior to joining PNG, I worked as a data scientist in the federal government at the EPA, where I focus on computational toxicology and cheminformatics. This is a model I've generated in precision medicine, so I've passion for modeling and its applications for complex mechanisms. I'm also a musician. This is me playing the accordion, the research triangle part. All right, let's go ahead now for our talk. We're going to have discussion on the challenges and opportunities in the field of toxicology. All right, I'm going to have three sections. First, we'll go through the general overview of how analytics and digital innovation is impacting PNG. Yeah. Next, we'll talk about the need for data ecosystems, and we'll show an example of modeling applied to decision making. Then we'll dive into the data complexity of biological systems. And finally, I'm hoping we can leave room for discussion to get your feedback. All right. So let's start with our first part. All right. So analytics and digital innovation in PNG broadly impacts different aspects of the organization. This ranges from technology-enabled brands to e-commerce, robotics, modeling and simulation, and other forms of analytics. PNG is consumer-focused, so among those attributes of consumer products, ensuring safety is critical. And that will be the focus of our talk. It is ingredient safety, which takes us to this emerging and rapidly growing field of computational toxicology. All right, we're ultimately in that field modeling chemistry, the ingredients in our products, right? So within our system of innovation, right, for developing products, we work in an agile environment where there are many interconnected components to account for when introducing a change to an ingredient or formula. When applying data science at the ingredient level, we're ultimately modeling chemistry, right? So we want to look at chemistry, right? So next we're going to take a slightly deeper look at the information, how we model chemical information. That's what we're trying to predict. All right. Okay, so how can we visualize and mathematically model a chemical structure? The most common data model is a graph, right? As an example, this is a molecule that is present in all of us. It's called serotonin. It regulates our mood, makes us happy. We can also represent this information as a line notation, right? Or in a layered hierarchy. And the closest data format to modeling is a vector, usually a binarized vector. Could also have numeric, but that's kind of the data that we are feeding into modeling frameworks, right? So that's kind of the overview of the complexity, very high level of chemical data. All right, so as we see, there's a variety of chemical data representation. This offers opportunities for modeling, but also challenges in modeling ingredient safety. Okay. Let's take a look at our second section, right? Automation data ecosystems. Let's envision when we build a tree, what do we need for that? We need an environment, right, to host our seeds and our water. We need a watering regimen, right, specific to what we are planting. We have to have a seed that's ready for planting, and then we get a tree, right? With this tree, we get fruits, and this is a special kind of tree. It has multiple kinds of apples, different colors, right? So now let's think of this tree as a classifier, right? And the seed was the data that we fed into our environment with these expert rules and logic that are needed to generate this classifier. In our case, this classifier, is giving us these different colors, right? In our field, we have a variety of classifiers from different data sets that we need this ecosystem to build these toxicity predictors, alert predictors. We get from the model, yes, this green light, this is good, red, not good, or yellow or unsure. We may need more data, more insight. This is the type of modeling frameworks we work with. It's alert predictors, right? And a variety of them that needs to be integrated together. We'll show an example of a model that was built in PNG. So this is a tree that summarizes this expert-based knowledge on predicting the chemicals or structural features for developmental and reproductive toxicity. This is a very important health variable when you look at evaluate the safety of chemicals. So this is an example of a tree that we built. And this came from a very complex mechanistic sort of workflow. It incorporates chemical information, biological information with very complex relationships. So we need automation in our field. And that's just one example of it. This automated workflow, right, allows us to feed in those chemical structures that we talked briefly about. And we get as an output these yes or no, right? Green, we're good to go, or red, no, we can't proceed, right? That's just one tree, but let's envision we have many different classifiers, many trees to build in the same ecosystem. That's a key here, right? We want to have the ability to ingest data from different sources and build all these different classifiers, in some sort of harmonious way. So data science can offer this opportunity for the field of computational toxicology, where we can build these integrated data ecosystems. Okay. Next, we're going to go to our third section. Right. We're going to look at a little bit deeper into the complexity of these biological data. When we go through these modeling exercises, modelers have to navigate through many data layers from these knowledge bases that the experts have. So we have to go through many layers to get to this level. Ultimately, it's these molecular interactions that we're trying to model. We have to get to this level of this harmonized data that is relevant to our target of interest. So it's very complex mechanisms that we are untangling here, right? This is where computer modeling and artificial intelligence tools can help us. In our field, we refer to some of these methods as in silico methods. These can help us integrate data from different sources and of different complexities. I'm showing here an example where computer models can take insights from data generated in animals and data generated in the laboratory, right, to get a coherent form of it that we can actually use to build predictors. And this can become even more complicated when we have variety and large number of lab data to integrate to reach our health target. Right, then we will go through an example next slide of data lakes or databases that are facing this challenge. There is a program that was initiated by federal agencies in the United States called Toxicast, and it houses hundreds of data sets. I'm showing here a Venn pie chart from the EPA website, just to show us the categories and the annotation of these data sets. As we can see, there are so many different categories. Each have their own complexities that we want to integrate them together and harmonize them. And they're coming from different sources, different experimental designs, and we're trying to contextualize and harmonize all of these data sets in workflows so that we can build predictive models. It's a big challenge that we're facing because we are aiming for the future to replace or reduce the reliance on animal data with these laboratory-based data. And as we mentioned, they vary in their complexity, and we want to integrate them so that in the future, we can be ready to build these models and replace the need to rely on animals for safety assessments. Let's recap just what we have been talking about. We're talking about how digital innovation is impacting P&G, not just in computational toxicology, but in a variety of areas. Right? We looked at how automation of these expert-based rules is enabling the implementation of AI systems to be implemented in decision-making. We also looked at how these cheminformatics and bioinformatics domain are very complex in nature, so we need workflows, data workflows with data ecosystem to contextualize and harmonize data to build models. If we can envision how the future could look like, we can envision a risk modeling system, right? An AI system where we feed into this system biological data from a variety of sources, right? Chemical structures. We go through a logic from what we know in the field, from expert-based knowledge bases, specific context, using constraints that we know of to get into an alert, a risk predictor. And that's what we are trying to prepare for and build the capability to lead the field forward. And then we're trying to emphasize the need for this ecosystem that can integrate and ingest data from different sources and house it so that these models can be used and consumed. I'm hoping that we can take some time for questions and get your feedback. Thank you.